They say the sparks came from the factory line. No one meant for it to burn. The crowd made it out, but one man stayed behind with a guitar, trapped by the fire. He chose to play anyway. And this is what he sang. You came like embers off the rail, like breath made gold in cooling air. Too small to curse, too bright to fear. You settled soft in lacquered hair. You danced along the velvet drape. You kissed the beams above the stage. I watched you drift through borrowed light like tiny saints without an age. One spark is nothing on its own, a harmless fleck, a passing flare. But I have played in rooms like this. I know when heat becomes a prayer. You gathered where the rafters bend. You traced the grain in thirsty wood, and every fragile painted rose understood. You understood. You don't start the fire, you only show its will. You don't force the ruin, you wait until it's still. Cinderfly so gentle, so patient in your art. You only ask for timber and a listening heart. They ran with silk around their throats, with powdered fear and glassy eyes. The doors were wide, the street was loud, a choir of unfinished goodbyes. I could have followed through the smoke, left you to feed on beam and lace, but every note beneath my hands had not yet found its place. Fed on velvet wine and wire, on painted smiles and borrowed names. You fed on curtains, fed on breath, and now you turn to take the frame. The ceiling groans, the chandeliers fall, the floor begins to sway and sigh. If this must end in ash and dark, then let it end in key, not cry. You don't start the fire, you only let it sing. You don't break the world, you loosen everything. Cinderflies bright and merciless, take the wood and stone, leave the silence to the flame, and the final note alone. The strings grow warm beneath my hand, the air grows thin and hard to hold. Your light is closer to my skin than any lover's touch of old. I do not curse you for your work, nor ask you for another hour. A spark is small, a man is small. You only teach us what we are. When the last chord leaves my chest and finds no ceiling left to climb, let ash fall soft on empty boards and carry what was mine.